Let me recognize the Honorable Hubert Hughes, Chief Minister of Anguilla, colleague Honorable Alfina Reynolds, Minister of Health, Wellness, Human Services and Gender Relations of St. Lucia, Honorable Samantha Marshall, Minister of Social Transformation, Human Development in Antigua Barbuda, and let me take the opportunity to congratulate Honorable Marshall on the election victory of her party in the last general elections, and to advise her that in politics, the people put you in and they take you out. So I think you should give a round of applause for. Let me recognize the Honorable Stephen Blackett, Minister of Social Care of Barbados, Honorable Clifton Dikoto of Trinidad and Tobago, Honorable Colin Riley, Minister of Education, Health and Social Services of Montserrat, and Honorable Frederick Stevenson, Minister of National Mobilization of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, the Chief Education Officer, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Deputy Permanent Secretary, the Ministry of Social Transformation. Let me make an excuse for the Minister of Social Transformation, who in his constituency today. In fact, I want to tell you earlier I have to leave because there's a function in the Minister's constituency that I have to attend to. Let me recognize Mr. Bentley Brown of the OECS Commission, other staff members of the OECS. Let me recognize the representative of UNICEF, Ms. Lynn, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege on behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia to welcome each of you to our beautiful island. It is indeed our greatest pleasure to host you. Today signifies another critical step in the development of our Eastern Caribbean as we come together with the common purpose of building upon our successes, further enhancing our social agenda, and crystallizing our social and sustainable development strategies. Protecting and promoting the livelihood, dignity, and quality of life of our people, particularly our children, and the most vulnerable, is a collective responsibility. Our very presence here today attests to the realization that we must work in unison to tackle issues which, if not confronted now, can potentially undermine the very fabric of our societies and jeopardize the future of our Caribbean civilization. Of particular relevance are issues surrounding the protection of our nation's innocent and vulnerable children. The safety and security of our children is an important undertaking which requires the participation of every segment of society. All members of our community, including our political leaders, faith-based organizations, educators, parents, and multilateral agencies must work with a common purpose and unyielding resolve to protect our children from hardship. I need not reiterate the economic situation of the islands in our region. Paradoxically, these islands, in spite of their structural deficiencies of relatively low rates of growth, inflation rates and trends that are influenced by developments in the developed world, unacceptable levels of income inequalities, unacceptable levels of poverty, unacceptable levels of unemployment, have been classified in the global community as middle-income countries and not liable for concessionary financing. In recent times, the debate over the economic benefit of social safety nets has intensified. Some have argued that extensive social programs are an unnecessary burden on the public purse and a luxury we cannot afford amidst the rising debt levels and increasing fiscal deficits. This is an argument which we should, without reservation, reject. Now, more than ever, social budgeting and the strengthening of the social development sector must be targeted, but must remain a priority for governments. With limited resources and the volatile climate, it necessitates that social interventions must be carefully planned, meticulously targeted, and closely monitored with credible and accurate impact assessments. The government of St. Lucia has recently commenced the provision of support to the parents and guardians of children who are differently able. This initiative dovetails with our one laptop per student program, as well as our traditional school feeding and scholarship programs. The government is also well on course to implement universal preschool education, which builds on previous gains of universal secondary school education. We also continue to implement short to medium-term training and employment programs, which have aided tremendously in suppressing the unemployment rates. In this regard, emphasis has in recent times been placed on the single mothers for our Single Mothers in Life program, SMILE, and by extension, employment of these single mothers improve the well-being of their children. Advancing the best interests of our children in St. Lucia and the Eastern Caribbean. Realizing the situation, UNICEF has invited us to participate in this midterm review of the 2012-2016 Multi-Country Program Action Plan. The main objectives of the review are to sharpen and make the programs in the sub-region more realistic and focused. It marks an opportune responsibility for us in St. Lucia and the Eastern Caribbean to access our work with children and to advance the best interests of our most valuable resources. Governments of the region have accomplished much in areas of education, health, social protection, water, sanitation, and hygiene, as well as child protection. But even as we celebrate these milestones, let us be mindful that there are bottlenecks and challenges which persist. Overcoming these challenges is not optional. I believe that the theme is beautifully captured in the words, showcasing progress, pursuing change. Allow me to outline briefly 3 areas in which we can individually and collectively advance the best interests of our children in the Eastern Caribbean. First, by strengthening our institutions and partnerships to promote the best interests of our children. We are making sustainable investments for the survival, protection, and development, as well as the promotion of the rights of our children. Then building public and private institutions that advance the well-being of our children within our region is imperative. This is important if we are to sustain the achievements already attained in health, education, living conditions, and also to safeguard against abuses and neglect. Championing the best interests of our children through social institutions and partnerships must become normal until we have realized the rights of every child, especially the most disadvantaged. We must commit to building the capacity of our institutions and meaningful partnerships for well-coordinated programs and effective service delivery in the best interests of our children in the sub-region. Secondly, making evidence-based policies, plans, and strategies an integral aspect of our ways of thinking, feeling, and working in the best interests of our children and young persons. There exists the need to institutionalize international plans, policies, and program models and initiatives such as child-friendly schools, extended early child health outreach, court diversion programs, second chance education, and break the silence on child sexual abuse. These models should be developed with a sound knowledge of understanding of the state of children in the Eastern Caribbean area. The richness and reliability of data generated from multi-indicator cluster surveys and other empirically verifiable studies must be paramount in our work with children and young persons. We must commit to strengthening the administrative systems and use of data evidence for decision-making in the best interests of our children. Thirdly, maximizing the use of available scarce resources and investments made in the interests of our children. The designation of a middle-income country highlights the significant progress in social development indicators of the Eastern Caribbean area. It also provides a context of more robust programming and the redirection of invaluable resources to low-income countries. In addition, service delivery programs are substituted for programs aimed at building the institutional capacities of government and civil society in the sub-region. There must be a greater utilization of the limited resources in a sustainable manner. We must commit ourselves to using every available dollar and technical support in the best interests of our children. The government of St. Lucia and the OECS are exceedingly pleased and thankful for the continued support of UNICEF. Your genuine interest and support within the region has made a tremendous difference in the livelihood of our people, and we look forward to continued collaboration and progress within these critical sectors. The OECS Commission also continues to play an integral role in coordinating efforts and ensuring that pertinent social issues remain on the forefront of the agenda of our member states. I'm confident that we are on the right path, and we shall all collectively benefit from the discussions over the next 2 days. I wish you a successful conference, and I look forward to the final outcomes. I thank you.